Hello, my dear friends. Let's see about a very important topic in muscular system, that is sliding filament theory. So before going into the sliding filament theory, we have to know some things about the neuromuscular junction. So neuromuscular junction means a junction between the nerve and muscle. Okay. So this is the axon, which is a part of neuron, and this is the neuromuscular junction. So NMJ we also call it as. So this is presynaptic terminal, and the space between the nerve and muscle, so this connection we call it as synapse, or between neuron and neuron. So this is the presynaptic terminal, and this is the postsynaptic terminal. So in between the space we call it a synaptic cleft. So you can be very clear here in this picture. So action potential will reach the nerve terminal, and here we have the acetylcholine packed in a form of synaptic vesicles. So this synaptic vesicles will move towards the presynaptic membrane. Once the axon terminal reaches the tip, it will break and releases the acetylcholine. So this acetylcholine will sit on this acetylcholine receptors. Later the sodium potassium pump will get started. So this is about very few summary about the neuromuscular junction. Let's go into the topic of sliding filament theory. First, phase 1. We have divided the whole sliding filament theory into 5 phases. Coming to the phase 1, what happens in the phase 1 is a nervous impulse arrives at the neuromuscular junction. This causes a release of a chemical called acetylcholine. So the acetylcholine causes the depolarization of motor end plate. Motor end plate is nothing but the postsynaptic membrane. In NMJ we call it as motor end plate. If it is between the synapse of neuron and neuron, then we call it as postsynaptic membrane. Here, to know it is a muscle, because of that they have given the term motor end plate, which travels throughout the muscle. So the calcium is then released from the sarcoplasmic reticulum. This encircles each myofibril. So the calcium triggers a muscle contraction. So the calcium is very essential for sliding filament theory. First, after this process, after the acetylcholine is sitting on this acetylcholine receptor, the sodium potassium pump will start on the membrane. So this is the motor end plate. And later, immediately this will causes the release of calcium from sarcoplasmic reticulum. That calcium will go to the myofibrils. Okay. So calcium is very essential for the sliding filament theory. If there is a lot of calcium, it binds to troponin, which causes the troponin, tropomyosin to move away from the actin. So we have the actin and myosin, right? So on the actin also we have the functional actin, troponin and tropomyosin. Troponin is like a ball-like structure and tropomyosin is like a thread-like structure. So once the calcium is sitting on the troponin, it will move the troponin along with the tropomyosin also. Now the actin, functional actin, get exposed. This means the myosin can now attach it to actin. This process we call it as cross bridge. It is forming a bridge. So like this bridge, cross bridge. So it is forming a bridge. So now because of that they named it as cross bridge. Next, phase 3. Now what happens? So now the sticking is being completed with the calcium. Now for the movement we need ATP. So ATP is broken down into ADP and PI. So released, so the energy is released. So this causes the myosin to pull the actin inward. So the Z line or the Z disc moves closer together, and the sarcomere is shortens. Nothing but the muscle shortens, the muscle contraction. So the length of the thick and thin filament do not change. The length will not change. So the actin and myosin just move closer and overlap and shorten the whole muscle. So the release of potassium will triggers that we call it as power stroke of contraction. This is because the ADP, which is still attached to the myosin head. So ATPase is the enzyme present on the myosin head, which will split the ATP to ADP plus PI. So rotating and pulling the actin filament past the myosin and moves towards the M line. What is phase 4? The myosin then detaches from the actin and breaks the cross bridge as the ATP binds again to the myosin head. The whole process is being repeating again and again when the myosin attaches to the actin binding site further down the actin filament, and another power stroke. It is been keep on happening. So coming to the last, phase 5. So the muscle contraction can continue as long as there is ATP and enough calcium in the sarcoplasm. So if the nerve impulse will stop, The calcium goes back to the sarcoplasmic reticulum and actin returns to the resting position, nothing but covered by troponin and tropomyosin. Example, the muscle lengthens and relaxes. So, if you are very clear about the sliding filament theory, and these five phases will be easy for you, or else you watch my next video for sliding filament theory. So, or else if you are very new to this topic, you watch the overall about the sliding filament theory and next you watch this video. Now then it will become very easy for you. Okay, my dear friends, thank you very much. Please do subscribe to my channel for more biology videos.